Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. It is that time of the month again to go ahead and wrap up the month, and this month was a really good reading month for me. I ended up finishing 10 different books. Hesitant to call them all books because some of them were so short, but nonetheless, let's go ahead and get into it. I started this month out with a fantastic read. I ended up giving it 5 stars, and that would be The Words of Radiance by Brandon Sanderson, book 2 of the Stormlight Archive. I did my full review for that, and yeah, I still am just so happy I read this book. It was so good, really enjoyed it, everything about it. I don't want to gush about it too much because I think I talked enough about it in that review, but yeah, this was the third 5-star book I've given out this year, which, man, I'll be honest, I wasn't sure if any of the Sanderson stuff was going to get a 5-star from me. After I finished Era 1, I know a lot of people really loved that, and while I did really like all of those books, they all got 4 stars for me. I wasn't sure if he would be able to get anything into that 5-star category. 5-star for me means I loved it. It's a really special book. I've only given out like 16 of them since 2019, so it has to be a really good book for me to do it. And The Words of Radiance definitely was able to do that. It was just an awesome experience. And I can't wait to get to Oathbringer. I think I just need to finish up Mistborn Era 2 and maybe read the White Sands graphic novel or something before I get back. And I think there's maybe 1 or 2 other. I'm just following my list that I have before I get back to Stormlight, but I am eagerly waiting to get to that. And unfortunately, I followed up the book 2, Words of Radiance, with You Only Live Twice by Ian Fleming, and this unfortunately was my first 2-star book of the year, which means I didn't really like it. There was some okay parts to it. I think the beginning of that book was done really well, and it really did draw me in, but then it just kind of got phoned in the rest of the book. I just didn't think it was very good, and unfortunately, it is what it is. It ended the Blofeld trilogy really poorly, and it is what it is. It was bad enough that it spurred me on to just go ahead and finish the last 2 or 3, I think it was just 2 James Bond books that I had, so I will end up talking about those. I'll go ahead and do it right now. So You Only Live Twice got 2 stars from me, and then I went ahead and read The Man with the Golden Gun. I thought it was okay. I mean, I liked it. I think I was just so down that from You Only Live Twice that I was a little harder on The Man with the Golden Gun than I probably would have been otherwise. I mean, it was a pretty generic Bond story in general, so I mean, I liked it. It was fine. I did give it 3 stars. And then I finished that up with, it's a collection of short stories. The 2 prominent ones, and this is what the collection is called, is Octopussy and The Living Daylight. And as far as the short stories collection goes, I thought it was pretty good. I'm always hard with short stories, they're not always for me, which is funny because Sanderson has done some short stories I really like, but the Bond, Fleming ones, I mean, they're fine, but it lacks all of the good that I like about James Bond, and just really makes it into, they're short stories. So yeah, unfortunately, Bond did not go out with the bang I was hoping it would. I think I'm going to do a video where I talk about if I think it's worth reading the books in general. So look out for that one here in the future. And after that, I got to read and review the first book I got sent to me as a booktuber, which was really cool, and that is The Never-Ending End of the World by, I want to say her last name is Anna Christie, but I'm really bad with names and everything. But this was also a really fantastic read. That one falls more into the science fiction dystopian kind of subgenre, and I gave that one 4 stars as well. And for taking a chance on getting this book sent to me and saying I'll review it, I'm really happy with it. I thought the premise sounded really interesting, and I was right, it was. And that was a super fast-paced, fun story. If you watch my review for it, I mentioned I want to be very vague about it because I think even little light spoilers for this story will hurt your reading experience. I really think going in basically as blind as you possibly can be is the way to go. I think just reading the jacket sleeve is as much information as you need, and I go a little bit more in detail in my review while still keeping it really vague. So if you are interested in that book but you feel like you need a little bit more of a push, I would definitely recommend going and watching that, because it's a really fun book. I did give it 4 stars, but it's a really high 4-star rated book for me. And yeah, I think I've already convinced a few people in my real life to read it, so I'm hoping you will as well. I know, like I said, Campfire did send me this book, just as a disclaimer, but they are doing pre-orders for like $1 on Kindle. I think it comes out in August, so if you want to pick it up beforehand for $1, you know, I do highly recommend it. And don't get freaked out that it's science, you know, in the science fiction genre, if that's not really your thing. It's very, 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 very light science fiction. I think it's, you know, there is a little bit of it, but think of it more dystopian than anything. And yeah, it's super interesting world, so I definitely highly recommend that. And after that, I read, and this is why I said some of the books, I'm hesitant to call them books because they are so short. I came back to the collection of short stories by Brandon Sanderson and read Shadows for Silence and Six of the Dusk. And I thought they were both really good as far as short story goes. So I think I gave them both 3 stars because I like them. Short stories, even if I really like them, I really normally don't give them higher than 3-star unless there's something really, really special. And Shadow of Six, actually, you know what? Both of them really showed me that Sanderson is a really creative writer. Even in such short stories, he's able to come up with magic systems, but just the world building and everything that he's really known for. He's able to lay it out quickly without needing a huge page count and still turning it into a really, really good, interactive, fun story. And I had a good time with both of them. So I don't know if you haven't read some of these, you know, Cosmere connected short stories. I'd recommend it because they're super short. I think one was like 40 pages or something, so it's not like a huge commitment or anything, but they're fun and creative, and I don't know, it's just kind of interesting to see Sanderson flex his writing chops outside of his big series like Mistborn and Stormlight. So, and you know, however they're going to be interconnected one way or another with the greater Cosmere, you know, that's a huge plus for me. I am really enjoying that aspect of reading so much Sanderson this year, just getting this huge universe. So yeah, I definitely recommend those as well. And after that, I continued with my Brandon Sanderson journey, and I read The Alloy of Law. I will have a review going out for it sometime next week probably, or the week after that. So yeah, overall, I did like it. I don't want to say too much for when my review comes out, but it is definitely different than Era 1. And, you know, I have some thoughts about that, and we'll see how it goes. I did actually also finish The Shadows of Self this month, so crazy reading month. I really was able to get a lot done. But the fact that I have gotten to those, I don't want to say too much because I'll do a review for that one as well. But overall, I am pretty happy with it. I do have both of them ranked below the original Mistborn trilogy right now, which I don't think is anything crazy. I think most people love Era 1, and then people who like Sanderson kind of have Era, even people who don't, or even people who do like Sanderson, it's very hit and miss with people who like and don't like Era 2. And so yeah, let me know what you think about those 2 different eras for Mistborn. I'm really curious. I say this in my Alloy of Law review, but I'm really curious if people think Wayne is funny. I just need to know. Let me know in the comments if you think Wayne is funny, because I kind of do, but I also kind of don't. So I am really curious on what, you know, everyone else thinks. And I do have to mention, once again, The Ships of Merior by Janie Wertz. I read, so far, 0 pages this month in this book, which, you know, if you have been watching me for a little bit, probably isn't too much of a surprise, unfortunately. I'm currently filming this on the 28th. And I am going on a long road trip here in the next couple of days. And I'm hoping that maybe, since I'm not driving, I can sit and maybe devote some time to this book and finally make some progress, because I do want to finish this. I have enjoyed it every time I sit down and read it. It's still somehow, this is a series that has stayed really fresh in my head somehow, even though I have neglected it for months. it's for some reason is really ingrained in my head, and I think maybe that's just because the writing is so unique, and you really have to kind of work to get the story out of here because the writing's so different than anything else you'll read. That little bit of extra effort really kind of ingrains itself into me, which is interesting. So it'll be on the July TBR. Look out for that video here soon. But maybe July will be the month that I get finished with it. And it shouldn't be any surprise because I did have a 5-star again this month, but my book of the month is pretty easily The Words of Radiance. I just, once again, really love that book. I think it's great. I see why people talk so highly of Stormlight Archive, and I'm only halfway through it. So I'm really looking forward to it, to Oathbringer, I mean. And yeah, what a journey it's been. I mean, those are some super long books. So even though it's only 2 books, it's like, 2,000 something pages, which is a lot. Yeah, it's been super good. So I'm really looking forward to continuing that journey and hoping that Sanderson doesn't drop the ball or ruin any of my characters that I love, because I mean, he could do it in a great way, but you kind of start to get defensive of characters you like at a certain point. So yeah, but those are all of the books, and let's go ahead and I will mention some of the manga I have read this month. So for manga, I actually finally have a real update. I took a little break from reading manga. This is just kind of how I end up always reading manga. I come at it in big spurts. So I'll read like 150 chapters of manga in a month, and then I won't go back to it for 2 months. I don't know, it's just kind of how I always want to binge it. And sometimes when you're caught up on series, that means you have to, wait to get new chapters. And so that's sometimes what happens. But I also, before I get into what I've been reading, I did start Monster. I am following along with the Philip Chase, Murphy Napier, and I think Patrick Leo is also joining in. He did with the first discussion that they had, but they are reading Monster. And this is the first kind of manga I've read that's in this genre. Kind of more historical fiction-y kind of thing. Not historical fiction, because this isn't based on anything real, but more of like a historical kind of alternate history kind of story. And I think we're 2 bind-ups in, which I think is chapter 33 on whatever Wikipedia page I was looking at. And so far, I like it. Every time I have a question and I want an answer, it seems like instead of an answer, I get like 10 more questions, which, being so early on in the story, is fine. I understand that we're really kind of building up what's going on, who the characters are, and all this kind of stuff, like motivations and everything. I don't want to spoil anything, but so far I'm enjoying it. I definitely recommend watching those discussions if you want to jump in and read along, because they're a lot of fun. And yeah, it's been good so far. Right now, it's more on the same playing field for how much I like it as like Vagabond, which I would probably have it like Berserk #1. These are some of the bigger ones out there. Berserk #1, Vinland Saga pretty easy #2. Right now, Vagabond is kind of like a step below those as well, right there with Monster. And obviously, I'm pretty close into it, and that means, I mean, I really did like Vagabond too. So I think this will be a series I come to really enjoy, especially because I hear how great the villain is, and I always love a really good villain. So I'm hoping that I continue to enjoy it, and that the series, I've only heard good things, so I'm pretty sure it's going to progress and just be an awesome journey. I did catch up on the kind of the more modern big manga I'm reading, which are My Hero, Black Clover, and Boruto. The most couple recent chapters of My Hero were awesome. I'm not going to say, just in case anybody is reading or watching the anime, I won't spoil anything, but just know that the stuff that is going on is some of the best stuff in My Hero. For me, it went through a little bit of a lull where I kind of wanted the story to progress a little bit faster than it was, and was kind of feeling like we really needed to wrap up some plot threads, and we are wrapping up some plot threads, which is nice to me. And yeah, I really enjoyed the most recent thing that kind of got tied up with those characters. It was just a really good resolution. I don't know if it's completely resolved, but it was a pretty decent resolution that came through with My Hero and everything happening there. Black Clover, on the other hand, I still kind of feel the same way, where I am really ready for it to end. I did think that these last couple of chapters were better. I think Black Clover has really been struggling for, I don't know, 40 chapters or so, at least to me. I don't know what the general, I don't like go and look at Reddit or other forums to see what the general discussion is for for some of these series. If you want to talk about it in the comments, definitely go ahead. I will be down to talk to you. But I think it had been struggling for a little bit. I think it took a little bit of an uptick here in the past couple chapters, but I am still very much ready for Black Clover to be done. I think it has slightly overstayed its welcome. It definitely has the issue with power scaling, power creep. You know, how do we keep getting bigger and badder and better? Which is normal with a lot of shonen, but I think Black Clover has just kind of done it in a way that, I don't know, it just hasn't been nearly as satisfying for me as I would have liked it to, especially because the middle part of the series is really, really good. I wasn't even actually a big fan of some of the earlier Black Clover stuff either, but you know, the middle part of the series I thought was super, super good, and I don't know, it almost feels like it's kind of like replaying the same hits, just bigger and badder. So I don't know, we'll see. Hopefully it doesn't. I can't imagine it has too many more chapters left. And then that leaves us with Boruto. And I actually just caught up with that last night, and I couldn't even say the things I was saying in a group chat with some of my friends. I was so angry. I absolutely hate some of it's hard for me even to call it ninjutsu at this point, because it's basically otherworldly magic, alien space stuff, and I don't mind where the story is heading necessarily itself, but I hate the way it's getting there. And that's really my biggest problem with it. It really feels like I have wasted years of my life reading this series because of the way, because of this power that is being introduced. I always just think back to some of like early Naruto and how far away we are from like, and I know power creep, everything, it's normal in a shonen. I normally don't mind it. I love power-ups. I love our characters getting stronger and everything. But Boruto just feels like something so different that is just kind of using characters I love from the past to propel it forward for a series, for a company to make money. And I think it's using the legacy of a beloved franchise to propel itself forward. And I hate that. I really do. I don't know, I have hope that maybe it can be better, especially it looks like we're going into a time skip, so a lot could change, a lot could happen, but I don't know, I don't really have high hopes for it. And I'm not a Boruto hater. I know a lot of people hated it from the beginning. I was fine with a lot of it, especially the manga. The anime is a completely different story because of how much filler and just junk that isn't real is there. But I thought the manga itself was actually really good. So until this little last bit, it has also been in a lull probably for at least 20 chapters or so. I've kind of consistently had issues with the ninjutsu and the power creep and everything that was going on. But I don't know, I'm probably going to continue to read it just because, I mean, I love the Naruto characters, and you know, nostalgia is a heck of a thing, and it's going to kind of probably pull me along, and we'll see. We'll see if it can melt my ice-hardened heart at this point. It's going to have a heck of a time trying to do it, but we'll see. And I hope it can, because I don't want to read things that make me angry or that I don't like. But right now, I was really angry after, I think it was chapter 79 is the one I'm thinking specifically, if anyone out there is reading it. It was just a very frustrating experience. TV and or movies. I have not watched any movies. TV wise, it's really just been Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but not even a lot of that. I did throw on Naruto, like original OG Naruto, a couple times while I fell asleep, but other than that, I haven't watched anything. I haven't returned to the West Wing yet. Same thing with manga, where I do it in big spurts. I do the same thing with TV, and right now I just don't really have time for it. I've really been focusing on reading because I've just been enjoying so much of what I've been reading, and I have goals of things that I want to get done. So this is some of the stuff that has just kind of taken a back seat. And the last thing I will mention is some video game talk. I have been playing Valorant, CSGO, really getting ready for CSGO 2 to come out. I think that'll be a lot of fun, but I also decided to go back. Pikmin 1 and 2 both got announced that they were coming out on the Switch, and so I was like, that sounds like fun. I really loved those games, and so I decided to go and pick up and play Pikmin 1 currently. I'll get the 2, and actually I never played 3, funny enough, because Pikmin 4 is coming up soon too. So I kind of want to get through 1, 2, 3, and get 4 I don't know, probably around Christmas time. I almost never get games when they're brand new. I'm never in a rush to play unless it's Pokemon. Pokemon's like the one exception where I'm still like, and Pokemon's a whole nother thing that I could rant about, but I don't think I'm going to, because that could be a video in of itself. But that was my monthly wrap up. I obviously got a lot of reading done, and have really been enjoying making videos and stuff. Feel free to leave anything down in the comments, and I hope you have a good one.